Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Outside Insider. Can you feel it in the air? Can you sense it in the wind that breezes past? Football is finally back. It's pre-season, sure. It's not the football that we're all dreaming of every night when we go to sleep just yet. But alas, Eagles versus Ravens takes place 2 days from tonight. So we will be live streaming coverage of the game here on Philly Sports Network. We'll be offering live commentary, analysis, like just discussing obviously what goes on in the game. So if you want to watch that, be sure to check out the stream on Friday. But between then, we've got a lot to cover. We've got a lot to break down. We've got a lot of roster battles. We've got a lot of developments, potential weaknesses on the team, that potential strengths, I guess, in converse, attempts to that. We discussed on Monday about the offensive guard position, and after thinking about it a bit and whether they should invest more in that position, maybe sign a free agent or trade for someone. You've also got an opportunity for guys like Trevor Keegan, who's a rookie, guys like Brett Toth, who's been around the team for a while now, or someone like Fred Johnson at tackle, to prove themselves, to show that they've got what it takes to be like, do you know what, Howie? Don't sweat it. You don't have to find anyone else. I can be the guy. I can step up and be that depth, that reliable depth that position so desperately craves. There's a lot to look forward to on Friday. For me, preseason, as I mentioned before, is one of the most exciting times of the year. Yes, the games get a bit stagnant, a bit bland, a bit boring after a while, and the fourth quarter can often be tough to endure, I think, for a general fan. But when you look at it from a perspective of, this is a roster of 90 players, and 53 plus a practice squad are going to make the cut. Outside of that, it's an uncertain future. Like, could you imagine if you sign with a new team or a new job in your work or your industry where your career is based, you get a new job in March, and, you're shown as the guy, they're going to hang their hat on you. You've got yourself a nice setup. You've moved city to work for this company. And then 3 months later, someone new and shiny comes along. You're handing out job applications, and you could be going back to working at Wendy's. Like, it's a very obscure time, I think, for a lot of these players. And it gets lost on people because preseason, you don't see the starters. Guys like Jalen Hurts, like AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley, they're not going to play. They're not going to play in preseason. But what will happen is that guys on the fringe of that roster, guys on the fringe of breaking out and making their statement, are going to have a chance to do so. And we've seen many people, notably players like Greg Ward Jr., be able to really assert themselves into that rotation just, by playing well in preseason. So we're going to be discussing a lot of those underdogs, some matchups, what we think is going to happen during the game in tonight's show. Duck, good evening to you. Good evening to Mark, to Isaac, and to Dash the Six. Good showing coming. He's manifesting it, is Super Stevenson. I love that energy on a Wednesday evening before preseason. The channel's an OG, but it's seemingly slowed down. I'm an old man, Dash, all right? I'm an old man. I appreciate the love. I think so. For those of you that have maybe missed a few streams, I haven't been aware that this channel's back or whatever, YouTube was a huge part of my career. And as time wore on and I had to do things during COVID, like streaming and really build things up, it just really derailed me, I think, mentally, in terms of just fatigue. I was burnt out, and the website picked up traction. It took off, and that took up a lot more of my time to sustain the content side of it. It then got acquired by another company, so most of my day is spent managing phillysportsnetwork.com. So I don't have the time to sit down and do 4-hour film breakdowns like I used to. However, 1 hour show 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m. I can sit on here, discuss my thoughts, bring some sassy Britishness to the table. And if you'd like that, then we'd love to have you as part of our core listeners, man. So thank you for checking out the stream at least. Hopefully, you haven't been listening to Taylor Swift too much in my absence. Isaac says he's very interested in the right guard battle and the CB2 battle. We can touch on that first. Thoughts on the Tim McManus article about Sirianni and Hurts' relationship? I'll tell you what, let's go to that first, because it's a bit more pressing, I suppose. I think Jalen Hurts got it right today, in the way that he carried himself. I think that regardless of how this season goes, the way last season ended is obviously going to drum up conversation. It's obviously going to drum up a little bit of hysteria, I guess, and overzealous reactions. In the same way that Carson Wentz did. And I know it's a very different situation, but as soon as the wheels came off, it didn't take long for, those positive pens to turn sour and that blue ink to turn red, okay? For me, I really feel like the reason that Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni get picked apart and attacked so much is because they're so different in personalities. And we spoke about this before on the show, but Nick Sirianni is very much a puppy dog in a giant playpen. He's got the charisma, he's got the energy, he's very passionate, and that feeds the players. And that's why he was brought in. They wanted someone, again, with emotional intelligence. And while he may lack social intelligence on a football field sometimes, he certainly has that bit intact. And the passion he has for the game has bled through onto the field time and time again. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, is a cold-hearted killer. He's stone cold, lives and breathes through his actions on the field. He doesn't need to be a big rah-rah guy. He isn't going to be in the locker room firing everyone up on social media after the game, whatever. Like, that's not who he is. He leads by example. He knows his team will follow him. And when you've got this fire and ice clash of someone that's very reserved, very within himself, but leads the right way, and someone that might just be, I guess, towing the line to some degree, like sometimes putting himself into hot water, maybe sometimes pandering to the crowd, other times enraging the fans. Like, it's a lot for Hurts to answer for that he doesn't necessarily have to or feel like he should have to. Like, he shouldn't be there to clean up a coach's mess when he gets a bit too excited in a press conference, or to clean up remarks that get said in an article. That's not his job. His job is there to lead that team to a Super Bowl. So I think regardless of whatever happens this season, if the season goes well, you're going to hear, oh my God, they're getting along so well. Like, it was never in doubt. They've really blossomed this last year. I've spoke to numerous sources and they're now best friends and they went kayaking together. And if it goes tits up, it's going to be, well, Jalen Hurts is at his final straw and Howie Roseman's got to make a choice because Nick Sirianni just isn't delivering and their tendencies are just clashing too much. It's always going to be one of two. There will never be a happy medium. This isn't Belichick and Tom Brady where they're nearly identical in terms of the way they lift each other. It feels like, I don't know, if you've ever been in a relationship, whether it's friend or otherwise, where you're just two very different people and you've got to lift, you can't be the same way to lift that person up. Like, if someone responds to very positive words of affirmation, that's great. The next person might not, and they might need that more aggressive, fiery up mentality. And that's just sort of what we have. I just think it's kind of unfortunate that a lot of the players that the Eagles have brought in as rookies over the last 2 or 3 years have come from these esteemed leadership schools. And I've said this for a while now. We're talking Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean out of Georgia, Landon Dickerson, Devontae Smith out of Alabama, Jalen Hurts from that same tree, obviously. A.J. Brown is one of the strongest leaders on the team. That I would say Darius Slay, but that's not, anyway. That's one very solid style of leadership there, that they go about it their own way. That's the core of the team. And you've got a coach that is very much, give me an A, give me an A. And that just, I think, will rub people the wrong way if the results don't follow. Like, that's it. And as Duck makes a point there, it's like they've switched, right? Like, Sirianni should be the more mature, methodical, level-headed candidate in this race, and Jalen Hurts is almost allowed that flexibility to be a bit more chaotic, should we say. And they're not. And that just is what it is. It's the situation they chose, and it's going to be endlessly critiqued no matter what happens because of those differences, because they will always be there. Like, if you go back to earlier last year, I can't remember the exact play of the game, but there was a scenario where Sirianni was fired up and Hurts very much had to rein him in. And stuff like that, when you're winning, is fantastic. It's, oh, look at Hurts, look at the leadership on Jalen. Yeah, look at that. God, he's so mature for his age. And when they're losing, it's, oh my God, this is a mess. Look at the state of Sirianni. Jalen needs better than that. Like, and you'll never get a happy medium. You will never get a happy medium. So as far as the articles go, they're always going to be skewed one way or the other, depending on who the source is. I can't say I've spoken to anyone that has offered too much insight on the topic, so I don't have any exclusive, info or views on it or anything, other than just that Jalen leads Jalen's way, and the team are on board with that, and the coach leads his way, and the team respond to that. But they would follow Jalen Hurts into a burning building. I think that's the thing. They would follow Hurts to hell or high water. Sirianni is just sort of, like a landlord. I think that's the best way to describe it. Jalen Hurts is the man who lives in the house raising a family. Nick Sirianni is the landlord that comes in, is a bit goofy and goes, hey guys, don't use too much water this week. Make sure you keep the electricity bills down, guys. And I think that's sort of it. He's not in the house, Sirianni. He's not in the middle of it. He's not raising the family. He has no impact on those kids. Jalen Hurts does on that offense. Jalen Hurts is the engine. But when the entire house is flooded, when the entire house has a lack of electricity, when the house needs repainting, Sirianni will be there because that's his job. Two very different people in very different walks of life, all with the same goal in mind, just building a home and a family. So I don't know. I think that was quite an eloquent way to put it. That might be a clip. I'm not sure. We'll soon find out. Timur, Liam's too old to be a proper sicko and grind 4 hours of DB tape. Such a shame. Yeah, it is a shame. I mean, I still try to grind tape. I still love DBs. Don't get me wrong. I will still sit there watching, 4th and 5th round picks for the fun of it. But yeah, I should get old. I'm nearly 30 now. I'm nearly 30 years old now. I can't be doing shoeies on an Eagles stream at 3 a.m, or can I? Who's to say? The two different styles aren't necessarily bad things when they gel when they're winning, but not when they're losing. Exactly. Did you give the plot to Three's Company? I don't think so. I've not seen the film, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, I'm afraid. But if I have, I should be a director somewhere. I should be a director. Nick Sirianni's a director, directing the offense. But yeah, back to Isaac's point. That's the thing. Like when they gel, everything's great. When they're losing, it's going to be hellfire. And that just is the way of Eagles football for the time being, unfortunately. But so long as they win and they've got every fundamental reason to do so, there's no need to be mad at it. There's no need to spotlight it. Like, I think we've had enough of a spotlight now on the relationship between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. Like, it's not new. Everyone knew from day one what it would be like. This isn't like some shocking revelation that, oh my God, Nick Sirianni's changed up, bro. Nick Sirianni's like, oh my God, he's so chaotic and zesty and funny. Like, no, we knew that day one. The second that opening press conference happened, we knew that. In the same way Jalen's first press conference, we knew who Jalen Hurts was. This isn't shocking, so it shouldn't be spotlighted in this new, ever-evolving dynamic between the two. Hurts wants to win a Super Bowl. Sirianni wants to win the Super Bowl. He goes about it his way. He goes about it his way. And somewhere in the middle is the direction for that Eagles team. That's it. It doesn't need to be blown any more than it is until such a time as either it gets told as like the best fire and ice combo of all time or the biggest mess ever. Until then, they've got too many pieces to win. They've got too many reasons to push to the Super Bowl. And we just have to ride it out, I think, like it's on the eve of a new season. There's no reason to start doubting things and putting stock into reports and stuff like that now, because I just don't think it does anyone any justice. And don't get me wrong, I get it from Tim's perspective. He's a fantastic reporter. You get given information on a topic like that, you're going to use it. You're going to write a brilliant piece, which he did. I don't think it was biased either way. I think it was very balanced and quite insightful, but like one of them, isn't it? Like it's one of them. Get Sirianni to an Eras Tour concert and it'll become chaotic, trust me, or hers. Well, I think Sirianni at an Eras Tour concert would be much more entertaining. Jalen might just stand there doing a little head bob every now and again. Get both of them, actually. One bonding exercise via Taylor Swift. It could be the play. Jalen, it'll be Sirianni's idea, wouldn't it? It sounds like one of those American rom-com type things. Oh, come on, man. Just come out with us and that. You're going to have it. Come on, man. Forget the homework. Just come party with us. And I'll go to Taylor Swift and just be dancing the night away. I don't know what more content you can need in the world than that. So I'm all for it. Mr. Sandman, nice to see you, sir. When people don't know what the heck they're talking about, they tend to holler and use foul language. I'm not sure if that's on about me or the article, or I'm not sure. Did I use foul language? Have I been swearing? I hope I haven't. Apologies if I have. It's just second nature. I haven't meaning to. The article was well balanced, didn't put it all on Sirianni or Hurts, but exactly. And that's the nature of any relationship, especially in sports. Like if you look at any quarterback or coach, you're going to see differences. You're going to see clashes. Like it's rare not to. The Doug Peterson era was notable. Chip Kelly, I know, is very different. But you go in any Eagles coach in history, there will be a relationship breakdown somewhere. There'll be something not quite right. Even when all is well, something won't be right. Goes to position coaches as well. I think I've heard more about position coaches, not in this era, than I have about actual coaches because they're closer to the players. And if one of them gets pulled out of a spot and they don't, I remember, I don't want to name them, but there was one Eagles defensive coach that was let go and the players really weren't happy But obviously they had to use it as fuel. As like, well, we've let him down there because he was a great coach and he's now not here because of our performance on the field. And stuff like that, if you've got that kind of relationship with a coach, that will make a much bigger difference. I'm not overly certain the same would be said for Sirianni, and that's the only thing that bothers me. Like if Sirianni was fired next week and they brought in whoever from wherever to run this team for a year because they decided to change their mind and use a change of scenery, would there be that much backlash? That's my only reservation. It's like, I don't think he's loved if he wins. He's loved if he wins. I don't think it's like Andy Reid, where he's consistently great or like near being great and becomes a figure in this city to be revered. Sirianni is always on a tightrope. And a lot of it is his own doing. And the other half of the coin is just public expectations and attacking the way he is. I think part of it is just you don't see coaches being the way he is very often. Like Sean McVay is very, I don't say obnoxious, but the way he talks about football, everyone loves because it's so like new and inventive, and he knows every play from it that he's ever called in the last decade. And because Sirianni doesn't have that, he's just like McVay without the knowledge. Almost like what's the guy called from Miami? I forgot his name now, but the Dolphins head coach. Is it Mike Daniels? I don't know. The Dolphins head coach. Similar to that, and it's the same setting there, where again, bit more charismatic, bit more outgoing, you get more criticism. It's just the way of the world, unfortunately. Dash says the article was well balanced, didn't put it all on either. Both had a hand in it, which is, yeah, that's right, all you can ask for, really, isn't it, in a piece like that? That's about Sirianni screaming at the team because he doesn't have an art. That's very fair. Yeah, okay, that's very fair. But again, I think we touched on this last show where I'd like to think, Sandman, that after the struggles of last year, I'd like to think that Sirianni and the players came together and said, well, look, what can we do better? Or like, what have I done wrong? Like individually in the collapse of that. And especially in hiring a new offensive coordinator, I'd like to think those conversations took place. So as far as that, I presume it would end this year, but alas, we shall see. Unlike our other head coaches, if Sirianni lost his job, he probably wouldn't get another head coaching job. That's a tough one. I think he would. I think he would, because using logic, I would say no. But we forget that the NFL is very much a league of friends and old people in exec positions who like hiring friends and malleable personalities. And I think when you look at some of the coaches that the Eagles had on the table at the time they hired Sirianni, he was the most like, yeah, whatever benefits the team best, whatever. Yeah, well, I'll do whatever. And that's not a dig. It's not a dig at all. But I do feel like he would be favorable because of that. Because someone can take him and go, look, we want to run this type of offense with this type of player. These are the concepts. This is our draft vision. These are the players we're keeping. These we're letting go. What do you say? And he's just going to go, yeah, and build from there. Whereas a lot of coaches might try and swing things, like someone like Belichick, for instance, is obviously going to pull things in his favor. I just don't see Sirianni being that type of coach. So I think for that reason, on top of the fact that he's had, 3 consecutive playoff runs, that he's going to get hired somewhere. But, I hope it doesn't come to that. It shouldn't come to that. And I'd like to think, again, that, he comes out swinging this season. The Eagles make a deep playoff run, hopefully all the way. And it's all just a distant memory. Sirianni has a winning record. He's been to a Super Bowl, which is, yeah, exactly, very true. And Mike McDaniel. Oh my God, that scared the shit out of me. Did anyone else hear that? Like my Siri in the HomePod just blew up and my heart hit. Sorry, I think it's something I said must have sounded like Siri, and it just, I think I've just gone white. That was terrifying. Jesus, apologies. Anyway, back on. It doesn't play cool. Not a lot of teams aren't looking for coaches that don't do that. That's also very fair. I read the first couple of paragraphs. He also mentioned that Hurts was doing his own thing and he wanted more control, which I'm not being funny. If I'd have been the quarterback in last year's offense, I think the least I would want is more control. The least I would ever want, having watched last year's chaos unfold with the limited route trees and the deep shots and nothing else, I would want more control. If you're having to manually audible every play at the line anyway, just give him control in the first place. He doesn't have to, and that makes sense. You got I'm not saying the name in case he does it again. Fed up of you saying that. Yeah, he's getting jealous. Siri's male counterpart, isn't it? Sirianni. Girlfriend's asleep in the other room. She was like, "Don't be loud." I was like, "No, I'll be fine. Like, it's only an hour stream. It's not in the season. I won't be angry just yet about the Eagles." And then Siri's going to start playing house bangers at fucking, excuse me, 22 minutes past 11 on a Wednesday evening. But yeah, we'll get to some preseason football now because we haven't discussed that yet. So, Eagles Ravens on the table for Friday. Interesting one. Obviously, M&T Bank Stadium. The Ravens going into last year were riding a 24-game unbeaten streak in preseason play. We're not counting about wins and losses. We're not Elliott Shaw Parks and grading, Jalen Hurts' historic 157 pass record without an interception. But I think that matters for the caliber of team you're playing. The Ravens take preseason very seriously. Therefore, it's a good challenge. It's not just two teams limping around, frolicking, it doesn't really matter. Coaches are off there texting people, ordering Domino's after the game. Like, there'll be a bit of seriousness to this game because the Ravens will want to win. They won their last two after losing to the Buccaneers. They're going to want to repeat that in 2024 and kind of restart that streak. Like 24 unbeaten games in preseason when there's, 3 a year now? There used to be 4. Is at least 8 years, 7, 8 years. It's a long time. They take it seriously and they will play hard. And that is exactly what a team with question marks needs. And the Eagles don't have many, but the ones they do need answers and fast. Okay? Offensive guard, we spoke about heavily last night with Becton and Steen duking it out for that starting role. They're going to be under immense pressure now to handle a Ravens defensive line that will throw everything they have at them. That's a perfect situation. There's only so much you can do against your own team. You need to see what they're doing preseason. And when you've got a team as hungry as Baltimore, who takes preseason more seriously than any other franchise, I think that counts for a lot. So defensive line in Baltimore are going to be an intriguing matchup. We need to see how the likes of Becton and Steen fare. My assumption would be Becton will look better because he's experienced. He's played a lot of time in the NFL. He's a former first-round pick. So even at college, he was likely the better prospect than Tyler Steen. Tyler Steen's a bit greener, a bit more inexperienced, obviously. Hasn't really come into flavor just yet. And I think a lot of people are expecting him to this year. They're really expecting it to be a no-brainer that he's ready for that right guard role. But I'm not sure if he is. And I'd like to think that Becton will be the man to fill in. I mean, I really thought it'd be depth behind Lane Johnson. But if he can swing inside, which he appears to be doing, and Steen isn't ready, then I'm not mad at that either. He's young. He's going to have a couple years of development yet. You look at what the other players have done under Jeff Stoutland. Like, there is no reason to doubt any player in that offensive line's ability to develop as so long as Jeff Stoutland's around. And that's a crazy thing. Like, if we were talking about corners or wide receivers and you've got a bit more reason to be skeptical of someone like Ainias Smith, for instance, who is battling with the dropsies, apparently dealing with an injury, which is news to me. I didn't know that going into yesterday. A little birdie did tell me that Ainias Smith has been dealing with a minor injury. I think it was before training camp, so he came into it a bit hobbled. Then the competition started and his confidence has been a bit, shaky coming back from that. It wasn't like anything serious. I can't remember if it was shoulder or knee. I feel like it was shoulder, but please don't quote me on that. Like, someone told me it like literally last night. But yeah, so it's what it is. But I'd like to, that's another word, again, to the point. It's not like Ainias Smith where the wide receivers are already all pros. They're already two of the best in the game and they haven't got a regular record of churning out greatness. Like, there aren't many positional groups in the NFL, like Philadelphia's offensive front, where over the last decade, they've developed nearly everyone. Obviously, the way JP was acquired was different, but you go Peters, Kelsey was drafted, Hall of Famer. Lane Johnson was drafted, Hall of Famer. The guards that have come and gone over that time, whether it was from Herriman's back in the day, whether you go forward to Isaac Seumalo, whether you look at Big V, who was a swing tackle, got a contract in Detroit. There have been so many, like so many. And I think that there's no reason for that show to stop now. Even Suro Petto got himself a deal elsewhere. Nate Herbig got himself a deal elsewhere, a big-time deal. Players do. Matt Pryor is currently with the Browns. Like, it happens. There is no reason to fret. So in terms of Steen's development, I think it's going to be a longer burning flame. It's not going to be the explosive breakout starting week 1. I think they will give it to, unless Steen balls out in preseason and shows us something else. I feel like it will be Becton's role in week 1. Maybe Steen comes in. Maybe he just learns under the wings for a year. Either way, it should benefit him if and when he's ready. Undefeated teams in preseason is like saying I'm an all-pro in Madden. It's nice, kid. Now the adults are working out here. True. It's not so much the record that impresses me as much as it is that they will play hard and finish the game. Like, it will be a competitive, contested game. Preseason affairs are often jovial, I think. Like, players are on the sidelines joking around, doing interviews, funny faces. The Ravens just play a bit harder and they will hit complacency harder. And it's going to force the Eagles in the first game to buckle up, because if they're complacent, they're going to taste defeat, and that should fire them up. So, yeah, I would. It's one of them where I don't put an overly aggressive amount of stock in it, but I think it should count for something when it comes to the bar that we're grading this team with. I saw things saying that Becton's currently with the ones in practice, so it's a real battle. Yeah, I saw he was with the ones today, and Steen was with the twos. So, yeah, I think that's going to be where the spotlight is. That's the most important position to look at now. Where if you're looking at the undecided spots on this roster, you've got offensive guard, wide receiver 3, tight end 2, but I'd assume that's Calcaterra at this point. Maybe but it's just depth. Like, the main one is obviously wide receiver 3 and offensive guard. Defensively, they're at CB2, isn't it, really? And maybe safety. So we'll get to all of those. We've done offensive line. Wide receiver 3 is obviously an interesting one. Before we quickly get to that, I'll read Sandman's comment. Watching the Olympics, your fellow countrymen and women are pretty good at water sports. The US is kicking ass as usual. I, for one, am not good at water sports, and that's not an innuendo. I just can't swim. All right. So make of it what you will. Living on island, can't swim. Make it make sense. I've got beaches all around me. And I've got bitches all around. No, I meant beaches, but I can't swim. So, yeah. But it's amazing, though. I mean, we've had an amazing run at the Olympics. Like, probably the best it's been in a long time. Like, I can't remember England or Team GB, being that impressive at the Olympics. So, yeah, it's been cool. It's been cool to see. I've not watched an overly big amount. Like, I watched some of the BMXing and the skateboarding. Like, I don't have it on in the background. I probably should, though. Really, that's probably an error of judgment on my part. But yeah, it's cool. Like, buzzing for the US women's national team as well to make the final of their soccer medal, if that was called soccer championship, which is cool. The only people not trying pride in preseason are the ones that are already on the 53. It's the ones that are on the edge that are killing themselves to make the team good enough to get taped together. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. And obviously people that will be giving their 110% this week will be that band of wide receiver 3s. Look at that transition. Paris Campbell, Ennis Smith, John Ross. Now, weirdly, I'll tell you what, a wild card in that one is Britton Covey, but I don't think he's going to be competing for wide receiver 3. If you were going to make that depth chart now, I think he sits in as like the first alternate, if that makes sense, as like wide receiver 4, whether that's behind Smitty, whether that's behind AJ, or whether it is behind the slot. I think he's going to be that first guy off the bench. He's had an amazing training camp. Like, I don't really recall ever thinking Covey would become that much more of a receiver. Like, his return game was fantastic, and a lot of that is obviously because of that game-breaking speed. But I don't think we genuinely saw a lot of upside as a receiver in that first training camp. And then this year he's come through, and I wonder if the transition's just taken a little bit of time. But he seems to be making like a big play every single practice now. Like, without a doubt, that every time I write the practice recap in the afternoon, it feels like, oh, Britton Covey 20-yard game. Britton Covey just mossed someone, did a backflip in the air. Britton Covey just turned water into wine. Like, there was just something new about him every day. And if he can carry that into the preseason, what's going to help him a lot is the fact that he is a deep speed threat. He is a burner. And it's only going to take one pass. It's only going to take one long Kenny Pickett, rainbow throw for him to cement that spot on the roster. Like, he did well at the public practice, drew a lot of praise from there. But if you can do it under preseason circumstances in week 1, maybe week 2, might get the night off in week 3. It's a lot of fun times ahead for Covey if he can get that all together, because he's been rallying really hard. Depth at wide receiver is pretty minimal. Outside of Smitty, AJ, and whoever wins WR3, you need to get some extra depth in. So I think Britton Covey's got a great chance of He should make the roster. Like he should be a lot to make the roster at this point. But I think he's got a real opportunity to go above and beyond that and land himself a potential rotational role, if not an even bigger one. Do I think I see we see a drive from the ones? No. Maybe not all of them. Like maybe a few. I can't see Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, especially with the injuries at offensive line and the setbacks. I cannot see them risking Lane Johnson. I can't see them risking Landon Dickerson. I can't see them risking Cam Jurgens because there's no point. Like if they go down, all of those injury problems suddenly get exasperated and it's going to be a very different conversation waking up on Saturday morning. So there you go. I don't see it. As fun as it would be, even just for a few plays, it's just, I don't see it's worth it, to be honest with you. But yeah, defensively, I feel like they might be more inclined to, or at least maybe like some of them, like someone like Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith should get time. Bryce Huff might get time because it's a new team, it's a new environment, it's a new defense. Like he's got to acclimate himself to that. We need to see how he's going to be used because we haven't really had too much clarification on that yet. So he might get some time. The linebackers absolutely will. I think Devin White and Zach Barn definitely will get some time just because they need it again. Like linebacker depth is very minimal. So like they need someone to tie them over for a quarter in case you burn out the little bit of depth you do have. I think the biggest winner at linebacker, though, of preseason is going to be Jeremiah Trotter. I think he's in a really good spot to succeed. Seems to be warming up to training camp very nicely now. Again, he's making plays on what feels like a daily basis. And look, I'm not exactly his biggest fan, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I said this in the pre-draft process. I thought as a second-round pick, he was massively, massively, massively overvalued. Where they picked him up in the trenches, I'm all for it as a value selection. Now, with those expectations, I'm much more pleasantly surprised. And just imagine an alternate universe. If Trotter was going in round 2, where some people were calling for, and all we were seeing was, oh, Bourne's a starter, White's a starter, Bourne, White, Bourne, White, Bourne, White, and there is no sign of Trotter outside of when there might be an injury to someone like Oren Burks or someone like that, it will be massively, massively concerning. But because he was picked up so late, because those expectations are taken off and the spotlight has been removed with it, it allows him to just grow. It just take the shackles off, just play ball, learn the defense, get up to NFL speed and learn a new way of being coached. And hopefully that benefits him. And the early signs are very, very encouraging. I want to see what he looks like. He's one of the few players, if I'm honest, it will come as a surprise. I'm most excited to see because I want to know how good does he look in comparison to college? What did we miss anything in the college tape? Or was I just being a hater? Like I think his instincts were slow. I thought he was slow off the ball. I didn't think he looked overly athletic, but when he hit, it was like a freight train. Now, if they can teach him to be lighter on his feet, if they can teach him that initial burst, I really think they might have something. And he might not play an immediate starting role, but he should be in a scenario where he can make the most of what's given to him, be that on special teams, be that on a rotational basis. But if he can shine in preseason, then I'm all for it. And I would absolutely love to see it. Like, I know I was not his biggest fan in the early stages of the draft, but I think that given where they picked him up, given the change of scenario, I never root for players to fail. Like, it's just not, it's not what we do, especially in media. It's not about that. So if he can come out and ball out and get himself a rotational role, I would be absolutely buzzing for him. Sorry I'm late. Apology not accepted. You're going in timeout for that. That's detention. You can speak to me after class. It's not acceptable. I'm afraid, Bird Brain. I've just realised your PFP is an eagle eating a brain. Very good. I like that. Bird Brain, got the bird. Yeah, cool. See you later. I didn't know Statham was an Englishman. He'd kick James Bond's ass, no problem. Probably would. I think he'd kick a lot of people's ass, no problem, to be honest, but not me. I reckon we can to the list. Devontae Smith and Jason Statham. I'll knock them both. No, I'm messing with you. You should give the offense a quarter in the third preseason game just to get the rust off. Yeah, that's fair. I think the third game makes more sense anyway because, again, if there's ever a preseason game to take your foot off the gas, it probably is that last one where the third one's there really for the guys who are really in the trenches of that roster, want to put out a little bit of good tape to show to other teams, or maybe just compete for a roster spot or a spot on the practice squad. But it will not be wide receiver 3 battle. It will not be CB2 battle. It will not be the linebackers or the safeties. You're looking at like Fred Johnson at tackle, like Brett Toth. Like those are the guys that will be in that game. So I think the starters getting even just a couple of drives there would be absolutely huge. Damn, Liam, I wish I could speak with an English accent. American women can let me speak to him with that accent. Don't tell my girlfriend that. She doesn't. She keeps asking, do I want to go to America? And I'm like, no, stop it. But no, it's, it's a blessing and a curse, because the thing is with it, Sandman, most English men don't sound like a 13-year-old girl at the same time. So while, yes, I have an accent, there's also when I get angry about the Eagles and I'm like, oh, Jalen Hurts, and doesn't go down well. So it's a blessing and a curse. But I'll teach you English. After streams, I'll run a Liam's English class for a whopping fee of $1 per hour. And you can all come in and listen to or learn British slang with me, a master of English slang, apparently. So there you go. Oren Burks mentioned experiences the worst flashbacks ever. I keep forgetting that. Existed. Like, I remember when they signed him and I was like, oh, he's pretty solid. Except for that and that. But yeah, all right. So where else? We've done wide receiver 3. We didn't really do wide receiver 3. We sort of transitioned a bit to linebacker. But wide receiver 3, Paris Campbell, Aeneas Smith, Britton Covey, and who was it? John Ross. One receiver that I've been a bit surprised by. I know we touched on wide receiver 3 with Covey, but I think John Ross needs to do more. Broke out of camp, had exploded out of the gate, started putting up some like really big, highlight level plays, drawing a lot of praise, plenty of, I think, positivity from the media, did a nice press conference, explained his career back to the NFL after retiring, and then radio silence for a bit. And that's not good when you've got Paris Campbell as a very solid option, and then you've obviously got Aeneas Smith is a rookie who should be getting up to speed. So I'd like to see some more from John Ross. Hopefully he can get a couple of deep shot opportunities as well and a chance to showcase this speed that he told reporters before camp is now apparently faster, or he feels is faster. Like, I guess game speed and, 40 speed are two different things. But if he looks and feels faster, I want to see it. Get that man running some go routes, because I want to see that turf catch fire as he storms down the seam. I'd be all for it. Liam, you literally look like Chris Marshall from Love Actually doing the nutty Englishman before heading to the US. What can we address why I look like every single generic white person ever at this point? Because it is. I don't understand. I want to try and find something. I got tagged in something on Twitter the other day. Another person that I look like, just a random YouTuber that did like some retro games or something. And I thought that was sensational. Let me find it a minute. 2 seconds. It's not far. I promise it's worth it, sort of. It might not be. But anyway, I seem to look like every single generic white person ever. And there we go. Right. So we've got this fella. I can assure you this isn't me, but this is some YouTuber's thumbnail. Can you see it? Oh, it's not word loading, is it? Is it going to... No. You can get the hairline at least, can't you? That's annoying. I was hoping that would be a bit more obvious, but well. Get it there. No. I'll get a screenshot sometime another day. Anyway, I do seem to look like, what, is Joe Burrow? Who's the one that I get told I look like by K1? Chris Hitchens. That guy. Turn down the brightness. I'll try it again. Was it that bright? I think it was that bright. Try it now. There you go. Who is that? Who is that? And why has he got my face? Could someone tell me who that is and why I look like him as well? Getting called Chris Marshall from the early 2000s looking like I'd retire. Oh, what does he look like, Chris Marshall from the early 2000s? Let's get this up. Geez, that's what he looked like 5 years ago. I forget how long I've been doing YouTube, to be fair. I'm going to search Chris Marshall 2003. I've just realised who Chris Marshall is. I've just realised who he plays in Love Actually. Let's turn the brightness down a minute. It's not the best angle there. No, we'll figure that out. We've all seen Love Actually. We all know that the slightly cuckoo one who goes out to America and gets laid. Maybe that's my journey. Who's to say? But yeah, I don't understand how I look like so many people at the same time. Like, Sid the Sloth does take the piss though, doesn't it? Getting called Sid the Sloth for your entire life does. That one stings a bit. Is Chris Marshall an upgrade? I don't know, but at least he's not a sloth. Neither is John Ross. So there's your transition back into Eagles talk for the final segment. We'll talk about cornerback too, because I know Isaac mentioned it earlier in the show, and it is something that is getting a persistent amount of stream. But Liam, you don't want to go to Green Bay, Wisconsin. Well, I would if the Eagles game wasn't in Brazil. You don't look like Joe Burrow anymore now he has that horrid haircut. I could, though. I could go bleach blonde. I could pull it. I need a haircut anyway. I was going to get one tomorrow, so I might. Maybe I will go bleach. Maybe I'll just surprise you for the preseason stream. Just imagine that. Just come up for the preseason watch along with the full-on, like, buzz cut Joe Burrow bleach blonde hair. God, that would be tremendous, wouldn't it? Maybe I will. But yeah, CB2. Isaiah Rodgers Jr., I think, currently is the man that holds that spot. I think they found a way to shoehorn Quinyon Mitchell into the offense and keep Isaiah Rodgers outside. And it is simply by moving Bradbury to safety. They've been unfortunate with injuries at safety. But at the same time, I think it's done them some justice because as much as Cooper DeJean's out, Sidney DeBrown, Cooper DeJean, Sidney DeBrown, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and James Bradbury, as much as like those three guys are injured or picked up minor knocks, it's allowed them to move Maddox back to safety, a position he's played before. They've got Bradbury at safety, a position he hasn't played before, but is trying his best. And in the middle, then at nickel, they're vacant. They're like, well, instead of putting in Josh Jobe or Eli Ricks or whoever, throw your rookie in there. Give Quinyon a shout. Like, see what he can do. And he seems to be holding his own. And he's matched up against Smitty, and he's matched up against AJ, and he's starting in the middle, and he's just getting first-team reps and building confidence. So if the drop-off between him and Maddox isn't as much, and it shouldn't be, because I do feel like nickel corners is one of the few spots in the NFL where the talent drop-off isn't as much, if I want to say. Like, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like you could drop between a starter CB1 and a practice squad CB1, and it'd be very noticeable. Nickels get protected a little bit more just because you've got edge rushers, linebackers, corners, and safeties all around you. You're very much there just with one assignment. If you can play the run, you can be physical and clean in your tackling angles. I don't think you're going to struggle that much. Now, you can get elite slot cornerbacks. Don't get me wrong. You can get very, very good ones, but it's rare you find a genuinely poor one, like a really bad slot cornerback. I can't think. I mean, Bradley Roby wasn't great when he was in Philly. The slot god, that went well. The only thing he was god of was missing tackles, but that's by the by. But there are a few corners that struggle in the slot. There just aren't that many, I think, that are like would get like banished off a team within like 2 weeks sort of thing. So if Maddox can hold his own at safety, why not put Mitchell in the slot just for 1 year? A, it adds another feather to his bow or another bow to his quiver, arrow to his quiver. And two, you're rotating to get the best players on the field, which is what every coach should be doing at any given moment, really, isn't it? They should all be just rallying around. If it means Bradbury at safety, so you get your rookie cornerback on a field who then doesn't have to essentially redshirt a season because you're starting James Bradbury, so be it. And I think that's where the injuries help. But anyway, back to the battle at CB2. That was it. Nicole Roby-Coleman. That was it. I beg your pardon, Bird Brain. It's late here. You have to forgive me. That was who I meant. Joe Burrow now looks like Liam trying to be 90s Justin Timberlake. I'm going to have to try and pull that off. Maybe I'll do it for Halloween. I'll tell you what. I'll go Joe Burrow for Halloween. I'll do the Joe Burrow blonde hair for Halloween, and I'll do a stream. Probably several because the dye won't come out, but you know what I mean. This morning on another show, they did mention that everyone's in that safety room has more injury time than any other position. Yeah, it's been a weird one, isn't it? I think. Like when you look at, so who's down? DeJean's down. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's got a shoulder injury, which we don't know how serious it is. Who's the third guy that's down? Oh, I'm missing one. Who am I thinking of? Oh, Reed's okay. There was a third one. I've just forgotten. I had a total brain fog there. Hang on, I'll figure it out. So Cooper DeJean's down. Oh, it was Sydney Brown. It was Sydney Brown with the ACL. There we go. Anyway, so they're 3 players down at the minute. And it's left it quite sparing. But then again, having said that, there are only minor injuries outside of Sydney's leg hanging off. So by week 6, it's going to be irrelevant. And you're going to have a cluster of CJ GJ, Asante Samuel, Reed Blankenship, Avonte. Easy confusion, that actually. Asante Samuel and Reed Blankenship. Reed Blankenship, Sydney Brown potentially, Cooper DeJean. Like, that's like 5 safeties, and we haven't even touched on maybe Maddox moving up. Like, Maddox could get really shafted here. Because if Maddox starts working at safety now, and in the nickel, you start seeing growth from Quinion Mitchell, and you start seeing real progress where you want to hang your hat on him for his rookie season, then Avonte is going to journey back down like nothing's happened to the nickel. And they're like, well, you're not starting now. He's like, oh, yeah, but I just got told in the safety that Sid's back and Coop's back and Reed's playing well. He's like, yeah, well, you're not playing now. So, like, it could be a really tough day at the office. He came in and for about a 2-month period was to start a nickel cornerback. And within about a month, he might not be starting at all. And he's a guy that can start in 2 positions. And that's a little bit worrying for Avonte. It's great for the team because they've got plenty of depth, but it's worrying for Avonte. Not great. But apart from that, I mean, I'm still intrigued by the corners. Like, someone like Keely Ringo, who I would have loved to have seen take a big step this offseason. I think that's going to be limited now. Obviously, they've drafted Quinion Mitchell. They've obviously drafted Cooper DeJean, who isn't necessarily a corner, but he's probably the better fit for slot than Mitchell is right now. Isaiah Rogers Jr. is out there. Like, this is a very, very low ceiling, a glass ceiling. Like, they're not going to push through. Ringo, Ricks, Job, like that. It's really tough for them now to generate any sort of momentum. So you want to keep a couple of them. Like, I mean, how many players are there? Duck said there's a lot. So you've got starters. James Bradbury, technically. Darius will not get called by his surname until he earns my respect. He will be called Darius until the foreseeable future. Isaiah Rogers, Avonte Maddox, Quinion Mitchell, Ricks, Joby, Ringo, technically DeJean. That's 8. And there's only 3 starting spots. Something's got to give. And I think they've really, I don't know, they've done a great job of stockpiling these class cornerbacks, but you can't keep all of them. And it just sucks to see a few that are going to go. Avonte is playing for one more NFL contract. If he doesn't stay healthy this season, he's just about done. Yeah, it's a harsh reality. I mean, they're lucky the Eagles wanted him back, really, or he's lucky the Eagles wanted him back. Was allowed to test free agency, didn't get picked up. The Eagles needed help, and he came back in a pinch. But yeah, he very much now is fighting for that NFL future. I think his biggest knock has been durability. It's just injuries. He needs a healthy season, but to do that, he has to get on the field. And to get on the field, you've got to be healthy to play. And it's one of them, right? I don't think he's proven that over the last few years. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. All the women flirting with me, with my wife. My wife wouldn't let me go anywhere near without it. What was this for? Oh, you'd have the Idris Elba thing going. Dude, that's a hell of a trump card to pull, though. If you can pull an Idris Elba card at any point in your life, you pull it. I would give my left bollock to look like Idris Elba, to sound like Idris Elba, to walk like Idris Elba. I've never seen so much aura on a man outside of maybe, I'm not even just being ironic, Jalen Hurts. I think both of them just have this, yeah, take the wife. Yeah, see you later, mate. Yeah, don't worry. She's going to a better place. So, yeah, see you later. Like, wild. Yeah, see, my trump card would just be that I'm British. There is all like Sid the Sloth or that random YouTuber. If you can take Idris Elba, and you've got a beard as well. I noticed the beard in your profile picture there. I'm probably not trying to spotlight you, but that is a gorgeous looking beard. Again, look, in my defense, this has taken a week. All right, I shaved on last Wednesday. Look, we're on the Liam Beard Watch segment. I'm going to I'll tell you what, for Friday, I'm going to make a custom intro, a 10-second spot I'll play. And once a show, we're going to do Liam's Beard Watch, right? And we're going to keep progress on it because I'm beating the puberty allegations. I have got through puberty at the age of 29, and there is facial. Look at that, little bit of patch there, a little bit under here, thing like that. I'm on the way, boys. I'm on the way. It's never going to look like Mr. Sandman's. I've very much accepted that. But if I can get a little bit of scruff here and there, just to ruffle like a puppy, I'm all for it. What do I think about James Bradbury at safety? I refuse to say Goatbury. It's good for him. You ever been in a situation where your friend gets a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you ask to see a picture of them and they get it up on their phone and go, oh, here they are. And you go, oh, as long as you're happy, mate. James Bradbury at safety. That is James Bradbury at safety. Just, as long as you're happy, James, isn't it? You know, you're out there running around, playing with your friends, doing football. Yeah. Well done, James. Well done for not throwing in the towel and doing us a favour. Well done for keeping on going. And look, if he balls out at safety and he does end up earning a start, I mean, there's a slim chance that he earns a starting role over Reed, maybe, just because he's got more experience at corner and he understands the game a bit better as a long-time NFL veteran. He doesn't have the athletic skill set of Reed Blankenship. He doesn't have the hard-hitting ability, but who's to say? Like, you know, it's a possibility. But my thoughts on James Bradbury are just that he's simply there. You know, James Bradbury is playing safety, Isaac. That's my opinion. That he is doing it. He is playing safety. And that is something we will watch on Friday. When he plays safety, that he is doing. So there you go. I'm very jealous of Mr. Sandman's beard. Oh, I agree. I agree. It is a tremendous looking beard. I might get some stubble by the Super Bowl. Next week, right, Friday, there will be more facial hair than this. The Liam's Beard Watch is coming in, right? Every show we're going to do like a montage over the year of like someone getting older. You're going to see it come through. Watch this space, Timor. Watch this space. What you're saying is like Bradbury at safety is settling for a 6. It'll be more like a 4, if we're being honest. But like the 4 where like you've already turned her down twice, but you're a bit drunk and she comes back again and you go, come on then, off we go. Let's have a little chat. Would you like a drink? Let's have a little conversation, shall we? Be one of them. Be one of them. Moving on. James, they are unfortunate, but you got something. It's an unfortunate. His style of playing is better suited to safety and corner. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I would worry if he sort of click and close downhill. That's my only thing, is if he has to, like, he can't do it at corner. If he has to click and close downhill and make a hit on a running back or a zippy wide receiver, I think that's going to be an issue. But, you know, look, I've been wrong before. I'll hopefully be wrong again. James Bradbury's going to get 3 interceptions in this preseason. Dude, I would love that. If I'm sat here on Friday with my arms in the air and I'm like cheering on, I'll get if that happens, Sandman. If James Bradbury gets 3 interceptions on Friday, I will get myself a James Bradbury jersey. And on that note, before Friday's game, we will do a giveaway. If you can predict the exact correct score of the Eagles versus Ravens, we'll give away an Eagles jersey just for fun. Because who let us have fun? On this stream, who let us have fun? So for that, if you could leave a like on the video at least, because I've got to fund it. So no, I'm messing. If you could leave a like anyway, that would be absolutely amazing, as we are coming towards the end of the show. And yeah, I guess just a preview for Friday. So we will be going live. I think the game's 7:30. So we'll be going live at around 7, I think. So maybe like an hour later than usual. I will be caffeined up to the tits. I will be wired like that, staring at the screen. And yeah, we're going to just watch the Eagles-Ravens game. Offer some insight, just some analysis, reacting to obviously plays that happen, and go from there. But it should be fun. Like I said before, watch-alongs for me are some of my favourite streams of the year. And yeah, I can't wait. We've already got predictions coming in, so you have got a chance to change them. I'll take a screenshot just in case on Gaiazo, because I don't want to forget. 15-12 raisins. 15-12 raisins is what Timor said. All points will be field goals. You're really setting the standard there for a monumental game of preseason football. I mean, the Hall of Fame game was much like James Bradbury at safety, wasn't it, really? The Hall of Fame game. For a moment in time, there was a game of football being played at a Hall of Fame ceremony, and there were 2 teams playing. And that's about all the thoughts I had on that one before I fell asleep at the end of the second quarter. So, you know, we'll see. But I'm optimistic. I mean, Eagles preseason games for me are normally a lot more fun anyway, because you are looking for individual players. You know, I'm looking at a Will Shipley. I'm looking at an Aeneas Smith. I'm looking at cornerback to see what Kenyon does. I'm looking a little bit higher up. the defense at safety, there's a lot to look at, especially the offensive front. That's going to draw plenty of eyes. I watched the Surfing instead of the Hall of Fame game. Probably more exciting, to be honest. Probably more exciting. The Hall of Fame game had to get cancelled in the third. Why? What, because it was so boring or what? Oh, no, now don't, because now it's going to be some actual valid reason where like someone got attacked or something horrible, and I'm going to look like an idiot now. Brilliant. Can't wait. 23-17 Eagles, 55-15 Eagles. Kenny Pickett will throw 3 touchdowns against the second string, and we'll have a... There's a new bit. Sandman's got himself a new bit. Oh, that's made my night. That's every single... Right, so he's going to come on Friday and be like, right, Will Shipley going to win. 3 touchdowns against the second string. We'll have a running back controversy. That's my new favourite bit of the entire season. I'm not even joking. Like, I was, tremendous. K1 showed up much better. See, I get new video for K1. Not even here. By the way, I found out what the issue was with the internet. Turns out what happened was girlfriend went cleaning and left a sweatshirt over the internet router, like the box, the hub. I think that might have done it. So far, so good. It's a bit better now. But it is my fault. I left the hub in a very vulnerable spot to be attacked by a sweater. So, you know, I had to take that one on the chin, really. I want to watch Trot Jr., Hunt, and Bradbury. Oh, Trot Jr., Hunt, Bradbury, the whole offensive line. Yeah, Jalix Hunt is going to be a menace. I think he's someone that I'm super excited for. I've been picking him up ever since he was drafted. I will be doing exactly the same. If he makes even one play, one tackle, one little burst side to side, I'll be watching him like a hawk. There's a lot of players. I'm very excited to see them all. So I will see you all for that. 99-yard punt, and we have a punting controversy. I can't wait. I tell you what, Jeremiah Trotter's going to have 3 picks. Then we'll have a linebacker controversy as well. I'll be there on Friday pushing Kenny Pickett starter vibes. I love being an op in here. You're our favourite op, Timor. You're our favourite op. I don't know which relationship. Both very good points, yeah. Unfortunately so. But that's the hopefully the last 5 minutes of this stream have been the most chaotic in months, and you guys have been on top form. So congrats to you all for helping put on one of my favorite shows of the year already. That is a real blast. So thank you all for hanging out, for all your comments and laughs along the way. If you could leave a like on your way out, just as you put your popcorn in the bin at the cinema, that'd be absolutely amazing. And I'll see you all on Friday for Eagles versus Ravens, the Eagles versus Raisins, as we're going to call it. The first preseason game of 2024. How's it going to go? Who's going to shine? Who's going to look not so fine? What food are we going to dine? We will find out on August 9. Mic drop. See you later. Enjoy your Friday. Wednesday. Ruined it. I'm going now. I've had enough of that. Take care, guys.